Okay. Hello everybody, my name is Bharat. My topic is about Ethereum ERC tokens, ERC20, ERC721, different types of ERC tokens. If you come about ERC20, ERC means Ethereum request for comments, whereas 20 is just a random number. 20 is just a random number. ERC20, we all hear about ERC20 tokens, but what are the tokens and why it is important? I will try to discuss briefly about them in this video. Like Basically, ERC20 tokens exist on Ethereum platform, and that itself, Ethereum platform consists out of a blockchain that is capable of storing transactions and has a virtual machine that is capable of running smart contracts. Ethereum virtual machine, basically. It is important to understand that tokens live on Ethereum blockchain. These tokens live on Ethereum blockchain and they benefit from this technology. These tokens aren't independent and rely on this Ethereum blockchain and platform. The native currency of Ethereum is Ether, but besides Ether, this supports many tokens, like many other tokens. And these tokens can also work like currencies, loyalty points, or gold certificates, or it can be shares of a company and so on. It can be anything. So before going into further, we will discuss how are Ethereum tokens created. How are Ethereum tokens created? A token can be created by a smart contract that runs on Ethereum virtual machine. These contracts is not only responsible for creating tokens, it also is responsible for managing transactions of the token and keeping track of each token's holder's balance. To get some tokens, you need to basically to get some tokens, you need to send some ether to the smart contract. For suppose if you send some 7 ether to smart contract, it may give ERC20 tokens, different ERC20 tokens. For suppose it gives you 17 ERC20 tokens. So for getting ERC20, you need to send ether. Yeah. To get some tokens, you need to send some ether to the smart contract, which will then give you a certain amount of tokens in return. So when you want to create, for suppose your own token, you will write a smart contract that can create tokens, transfer them, and keep track of people's balances, like how many tokens they have. Once a smart contract is deployed, we cannot change it anymore. So if you make an error, you can't fix it. So this could be quite catastrophic. If you have some bug inside your code, imagine a bug inside your code that causes people to lose their tokens, and or a bug that would let someone to steal other tokens. This will create a problem. And then there is also the other problem of interoperability. Each token contract can be completely different from each other, as there are no guidelines on how each token may be created. So if you want your token to be available on an exchange, the exchange has to write some custom code to allow people to trade your tokens with other tokens or ether. Same thing happens with different wallet providers. And now suppose you have hundreds of tokens, it would be very complex and time consuming process for wallet providers. So the community has proposed a standard method called ERC20 tokens to resolve this problem. So if you want to resolve this problem, so if you want to create a ERC20 token, so basically what ERC20 means is ERC20 is a guideline or a standard for when you want to create your own token. If you are creating your own token, you need to follow these ERC20 guidelines. In ERC20, you will be having 6 mandatory functions, which are compulsory to write, and there are 3 optional functions. If you do this, you can implement your ERC20 contract. To start with, you can optionally give your token a name, a symbol, and how dividable your token is by specifying how many decimals it supports. The mandatory functions are like a bit more complex. There are 6 different methods, mandatory methods, total supply, balance of, 2 different transfer methods, transfer from. And then there are 2 methods, approve and allowance. Like if you know about total supply of your token returns, like it specifies the limit. Once the limit is reached, the smart contract will refuse to create any further tokens. Like so, keeps the check of how many tokens it can be created. And then there is balance of method. Balance of method returns how many tokens a given address has. To specify the address, it gives like how many tokens it has. And then there are 2 transfer methods. Transfer method, like transfer is which takes a certain amounts of tokens from the total supply and gives them to an user. Takes some like it takes some supply of tokens and then it gives to the user. And transfer from method is basically which can be used to transfer tokens between any 2 users who have them. Like any 2 users who have these tokens can like trade here from transfer from. And finally, there are 2 methods, approve and allowance. Approve basically verifies that your contract can give a certain amount of tokens to an user, taking into account the total supply. Basically, allowance method, like it's almost same, but except that it checks if one user has high enough balance to send a certain amount of tokens to someone else, like someone else. If you want, like you can implement, like you can think this ERC 20 as something we read in previous years related to object oriented programming. You can think as ERC 20 as an interface. You can think ERC if you want to. So if you want to create a token in ERC 20, then you need to implement the ERC 20 interface, and that forces you to implement like these 6 methods. Before that, before there was the ERC 20 standard, everyone who wanted to create a token had to reinvent the wheel. And that meant that each token contract was slightly different and that exchanges and wallets had to write their custom code to support your token. However, with ERC 20, exchanges and wallet providers only have to implement this code, as every token needs to implement this ERC 20 interface. Like these are the 6 methods. And coming about like some of the problems in ERC, like ERC 20 is just a guideline, right? So like we can free to implement the required functions, the optional functions, however we like. So this could create some interesting problems. One of the main problem is this one. Like for instance, if you want to buy some tokens, you have to send some ether to a smart contract, right? If the contract was not designed keeping this situation in mind, we can send some ERC 20 tokens also instead of ERC like ether. This would result like your tokens will get lost using this method. Like if you send tokens instead of ether, if our smart contract doesn't keep this in mind, there are quite a large number of like this problem is quite huge, because like by the start of 2018 only over $3 million have been lost of this flaw, like of this basic simple flaw. So to solve this, the community has decided to create another token, ERC 223 token, which solves this problem. ERC 223 token. Yeah. So as we discussed earlier, like in case of exchange, writing like if without ERC 20 tokens, for an exchange, we need to write custom code for everything so that they can talk to our contract and allow people to trade. Same thing happens for wallet providers, and this is time consuming if you have so many hundreds of tokens. So that time community provided like proposed this ERC 20, like ERC 20. Like I with this, like you can see in this my ether wallet website, we can see like how many different ERC20 tokens are there: Ether, Uniswap, Chainlink, and everything. If you go here, you can also see, you can also swap tokens. Still, I don't have an account, so I don't exactly how to use it. You can swap tokens with this. So with the help of ERC20, we can create so many, like that's why exchanges can add new tokens so quickly, and why wallets like my ether wallet have support for all ERC20 tokens without having to be updated. So like now I will show you it how easily we can create a new token. For creating new token, you need to go to this the token factory website. Like if you go to token factory website and click here to create new contract, here we need to mention supply. Let me mention 75,000, name, my name, Bharat Reddy, PA Bharat Reddy, and we can specify like how many times it can be divided. Let me specify 8. Symbol maybe PBR. Like this is very simple way to create your own Ethereum token using this token factory website. And then there is other website called token scanner, ether scanner website. Like basically here you can check what all different types of tokens are available. If you see here, there were nearly 500 websites, like till date on 20th Feb, we can find there were nearly 500k ERC20 tokens, different types of ERC20 tokens, with Ether USD being high, which has highest market cap currently. Like with like this is so effortless to create so many tokens. Like however, these tokens were not always clean because some were really overhyped and many people got scammed into purchasing these tokens that were essentially worthless. So one has to be careful while buying these ERC20 tokens, different ERC20 tokens. From Etherscan website, you can see different types of tokens and their market value. Here you can see ERC20 tokens, and if you go here, you can see ERC20 transfers, basically different types of transfers, and we can also see ERC721 tokens. ERC721 tokens, different types of ERC721 tokens. Like if you see, these are very less compared to ERC20 tokens. There are only 45k, near 45k tokens found. Ethereum ENS being the first, like ERC 1115 tokens. You can see here. Open. You can see different types of tokens here. So next we will discuss about ERC21 tokens and crypto kittens. So first I will discuss about crypto kittens. Like people in the crypto space, like just bumped into this one of the strangest headlines ever regarding digital kittens. Like these digital kittens are also known as crypto kittens. And these crypto kittens are a very simple idea. Like you purchase a cute virtual cat on the Ethereum blockchain, and then you breed them, collect them, and auction them. Like basically, breed them, collect them, and auction them. This works using how this works is this works using ERC 721 standard for crypto collectibles. In crypto collectibles, ERC21 enables developers to create unique digital tokens that represent valuable collections. Any kind of collectible can be referred as to a non-fungible. This means that the value of the collectibles are derived from the, like if you see ERC 721 is non-fungible asset and ERC20 is a fungible asset. This means any kind of value derived for ERC21 token is from the rarity and how unique they are. This is opposite to something fungible which has same value whether when it is created it doesn't matter, like ERC20, or you can take our money as an example, like currencies. The principle is what defines an ERC721 token, like a crypto kitty. It is probably unique and its value is directly tied to its rarity. This is made possible by the immutable nature of the blockchain. How ERC721 is made possible is by the immutability nature of blockchain. The contract that generates crypto kitties has been hard coded. Like the first to create 50,000 generation zero 50,000 generation zero crypto kitties, because this code has been dedicated to the blockchain that cannot be changed by anybody. There is a guarantee, like you can see, there is a guarantee backed by the security of the entire Ethereum network that any generation zero crypto kitty token you purchase will be one of only 50,000. There will never be more than one. Similarly, any attempt to duplicate or generate counterfeit cryptocurrencies would require you to overpower the entirety of Ethereum network here, and that feat is practically impossible. Like, just to give an example about how crazy people are about CryptoKitties at its peak, like you can say CryptoKitties became truly vital. In fact, at one point, like third most gas hungry contract on the Ethereum, before completely clogging up the Ethereum network, which is simply not ready to handle this enormous demand. Essentially, it became too popular for its own good, so it got fade away slightly. The main, like the main takeaway from the cryptocurrencies is there is an enormous demand for crypto collectibles, NFTs. Truly unique digital assets are practically unheard of in this world. Like digital assets, you can't find it in YouTube or Twitch or Torrents or any other platform. Even plain old copy and pasting is not unique. You can't find a truly unique image on your site. If anyone can download it and share it on Facebook, so this idea of having a digital asset that is yours and yours alone got a lot of people excited. Also, cryptocurrencies was the first example of this crypto collectible wave of the excitement of NFTs. But many other companies have tried this too using this ERC721 basic collectible server. Like that's it about CryptoKitties and this 721 basic. And if you can see, for an ERC20, you only require address. But for ERC21, you require address plus token ID. This token ID is to ensure the uniqueness. Like here, we can't create another token. So we need token ID also in case of ERC721. Now coming about the different methods in ERC721. So ERC721, there are like many methods: balance of, owner of, safe transfer from, approve, set approval for all, get approved, ease approval for all. So the balance of address, the balance of means the number of assets that are owned by its address. Like balance of use the number of assets owned by this address. For example, if the balance of an address is 5, this means yeah. So balance of, for example, if the balance of an address is 5, that means this address owns 5 different assets in this token, not 5 times the same assets that we have. Another function related to ownership. So the owner of the function. So you give it a token ID and it's going to tell you which address on this asset. Then we have a couple of functions of known as transfer functions. Save transfer. So to save transfer from function. So this is an overloaded function. This save transfer from is an overloaded function. Say the save transfer function you know, and the most simple is the transfer from function. So he can be so deleted to transfer. So unlike ERC20, we don't have two different functions for normal and delegated transfer. We don't have, also unlike ERC20, you need to specify which token you want to transfer with this argument. Also, you will notice that you don't need to specify any quantity in the transfer function, and that's because each asset is unique. So the quantity is irrelevant in this case. So you don't mention quantity as each asset is unique, and then you have an approval mechanism to do a delegated transfer. So like for us ERC20, you have an approved function and you specify the address that you want to approve. You also have to specify the token ID that you approve. So you approve an address for a specific asset, not for all the assets. And you also don't need to specify any quantity. So the approval for token ID is binary, is yes or no. And if you want to know what is the address that has been approved for a specified token, you can go and get to a proof function, and you can also have an address for all this type of tokens. So in this case, you can set approval for all. And if you want to know if there is an address that is approved for all the tokens of an address, then you call is approval for all. And finally, then there is two safe transfer from functions. So these functions are used to transfer tokens in the most safe way, because what they are going to do is check if a smart contract will make sure that it implements an interface, and behind the hood is going to use ERC 721. If you don't know, yeah, ERC 721, this transfer function.